Hello, this is David Sherry, and today I want to talk about propitiation, uh, which is referring to atonement in the Bible. Now, let me give you a little bit of background behind the word propitiation. Okay, the word propitiation, as you can see right here, okay, may be translated three different ways. In Greek, it is elasmos, okay, and this is a noun, okay, and this is the article, but anyway, so right here, elasmos, this word right here, is the word for propitiation in Greek, okay. Now, you'll find it translated as propitiation, atonement, or expiation, all right. Now, so when you read in the Bible and it talks about propitiation, when does that occur? When is the time of propitiation? All right. Ultimately, that appointment of propitiation is not fully does not fully come into existence until the end of time. Okay, and this is where understanding the concepts concerning redemption takes place, which a lot of people don't understand. Okay, but anyway, that time will be on the Day of Atonement. All right, and the Day of Atonement is in the Jewish New Year will be on Tishri the 10th. Okay, so that's when the propitiation exactly, literally occurs according to the feast system within the Jewish Levitical year. All right, and so, but when we look at this from an eschatological point of view, all right, okay, and we understand through scriptures that we work out our faith with fear, okay, and that the Bible talks about that we are being saved, okay. Now a lot of people say, well, we are saved. No, we're not saved until this point of time comes here. This is called the day of our redemption. All right, that day of redemption occurs when Christ returns, okay, at the second judgment. Okay, that's the final judgment, which occurs, depending whether you're in the east or the west. Okay, the Eastern Church, the Orthodox churches, that time is at the end of time. Okay, all right, and so, but anyway, rather than get into that, I'm just going to point out this particular thing, that the word elasmos is the word for propitiation. Okay, it also means atonement, and it also means expiation. Okay, and when does that occur? It occurs on Tishri the 10th. All right, and so you have two judgments. Okay, and you have the final judgment is what this is actually referring to when you understand the Levitical law. Okay, now most Christians don't get into the Levitical law, and those that do severely mess it up. All right, and so I want to point this out right here. Okay, and you'll find it in like I said earlier, you'll see the word elasmos, propitiation, atonement, at the end of time. For me, that is at the end of the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Okay, that's when the new heavens and new earth occur. Okay, for the Greek Orthodox, okay, they don't believe in a literal millennial reign. All right, so that time occurs when Christ returns. Okay, and that's how the Greek Orthodox look at it, but they really need to go back and look at Justin Martyr, Eusebius, and their writings, because they call them saints, but they believed in a 1,000-year reign of Christ. Okay, when Christ literally reigned, that's why the Bible says we'll reign with as priests and kings on the earth. Okay, but they spiritualize it, but that's how they are. And Justin Martyr actually wrote about that, and wrote about that as well. Okay, so but this is the word right here that we're interested in. Okay, now I want to show you something else. Okay, now this is an adjective form right here of the noun. Okay, but this here is elasgomai, to perpetuate. Now the only person who could do that would be the high priest. Okay, the high priest of Israel is the only one who could actually do the act of propitiation. Okay, he's the only one. Now what I would like to do is show you the real word for worship in Greek. Okay, let me see if I can find it up here. Okay? The actual word for worship in Greek is right here. Proskuneo, I worship. And so when it talks about worshiping, it refers to how we could worship by being prostrate or going to our knees to propitiate before a superior. So when the Bible talks about worship, the actual most important word in the Greek is this word right here, proskuneo. Okay? Now, that also brings in other words that concerns worship. Okay, we have the word latrio. All right, latrio means I serve. That could be worship. Okay, but it's also used for people who hold office, who do office work. You know, so I can, you could say latrio in terms of I serve the people. Okay, but this right here, in the biblical context, proskuneo, all right, refers specifically to worship to God. Okay? Now, we're going to go into other words. Saviomai. Okay? Saviomai can be translated as worship, but it really means I venerate, I revere, I respect. Okay? You know, have you ever heard of the early church father by the name of Eusebius? Okay, so it's I venerate, I revere, and respect. Okay? And, so that's what that word means. Okay? So we are to, what is it that we're to venerate? What is it revere? And what is it respect? When you go into Revelation and you read the book of Revelation, it talks about the Antichrist, how he'll set himself up and oppose himself against God and all objects of worship. Okay? So it's not talking about bowing down to objects, as in right here. It's talking about objects of worship in terms of objects that a Christian may consider as sacred, temple artifacts and stuff like that, objects of respect, okay, to venerate, or a person whom we respect, okay, like a reverend or a pastor or a teacher. Okay, now this word right here, eucbo, I am devout, I am devoted, I am pious, I am reverent, okay, which means to pay homage. All right, now this is important, is because, people say, well, we're not to be, I have no religion, I have no, I don't have to be religious. Without being religious, you can't be devout, you can't be pious, and you can't be reverent. Okay, that's impossible. Okay, now, let me show you another thing in the Bible right here. All right, let's see if I can find it. So I got different words here, but I can't find, sometimes I may not be able to find what I want. Plus I got to get ready to go to work here in just a second. But I just wanted to show this to you right here. Okay. Well, there's one way to do it real fast. Hold on. Let me see. Find on page. Relig. Okay, there we go. That helped me find it. So here's the word for religion in Greek. Okay, threskia. Now, if you don't need religion, you are not religious, and you speak against that, okay, then you're actually going against the Bible, because see, here you have what the Bible talks about as threskia, the religion, okay, and in the context it's given, it's talking about not having the correct religion, okay. So these are important things. Now I'm going to show you what I've been working on just for fun, okay? Now, these are the principal parts of the Greek verb. All right, so this is what I've been working on for the past month or so, and it takes time. So, this gets into, various features concerning how to understand this chart right here. Okay, and these are all the verbs that I'm creating right here. Okay, now, let me just go ahead, because I'm fixing to close out the video, and I just want to show you. We'll get back to 100%. All right, so this is how the actual table looks right here. See how many verbs I've been creating? Okay, and so what this is, okay, when you look at these verbs, okay, you have present tense, future tense, aorist tense, perfect middle, aorist passive, and then the meaning right here, as in the verb in terms of to. Sometimes I do as I to make it more clear. All right, and so this gives you the different tenses, for that. This here would be called morpheme, all right, because the reason we're calling it a morpheme because it's the form of that particular word. But when we look at the word in the first tense, this is considered a lema, okay, all right, and then point out here. So whenever you see this right here, like ao, okay, that is the verb in its lexical form. That's why we call it a lema, because it's in its lexical form. All right, now, if you want to know how the verbs do, okay, so what I wrote down here in this thing right here is this, present tense contract verbs are uncontracted. That's what I just showed you right down here, where this is, the AO. And so it shows you that AO becomes O, and EO becomes O, and, and then Omicron, and then Omega becomes Omega. Epsilon and Omicron become Omega. Alpha and Omicron become Omega. That's the way I'm really supposed to say it. And then it shows you that these have been contracted and what they became, okay, when they're contracted, okay, in future tense, And so these are notes to help you understand. Okay, now, when you get into like your perfect middle right here, right, it tells you that most perfect middles will end in my, okay, but not oh my. Okay, and some will end in K. And so let me show you what I mean. If you go down here, you'll see that the perfect middles end in my, but not oh my, with, so with Omicron, oh my, like Omicron, mu, alpha, and iota. All right, so it shows you that. Now, I want to show you something that's really kind of cool. Now, this page is in development. It'll take a while. And that's all the verbs I've been creating there. As you can see, that's a lot of verbs. Okay, you know how much time it takes to do that? You'll never find anywhere on the net, anywhere that I know of, open source without having to pay for it, of course, a verb paradigm chart, like this, to this extent of the number of verbs. All right, it takes a lot of work. And see right here, these are verbs I have to create right here. All right, and then when I create them, then I got to re-alphabetize them. Okay, but let me show you something right here I think is pretty interesting. All right, I have to go down here, all right. And these are like different docs, adjectives, and etc. Like on my local deal, lessons here, that came down from GitHub, which allows me to build my lessons. Some of the things were wrong in it, but that's okay. It really was a great help. And then these are actual local pages concerning like prepositions, okay, like conjunctions. You'll have like this right here for conjunctions. All right, if it'll show. I don't have a secure server, so it's doing that to me right now. So here's my conjunctions and etc. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to where I was at, okay, and I want to go to hagiazo, okay. Now this is the word hagiazo. Now each verb that you see in my chart, this is the first one I've done. It'll take and I'll take it each verb in there and I'll start creating per verb this. So it takes some time, what we call the principal parts of the verb. So everything here expresses the principal parts, like your present, your future, your aorist passive, your perfect active, and your perfect middle. Okay, all right, and so these are your principal parts. Okay, now this is a reminder for the principal parts, where a present tense is like, for hagiazo means I sanctify, I consecrate, I sanctify, I make holy. Futures, I shall consecrate, I shall sanctify. Aorist, I consecrated. And it shows you how to do them. But you have to be aware also you have first aorist, second aorist, you have first perfect, you have second perfect. All right, pluperfect's not in here because it's not a part of what we call the principal parts of the verb. But anyway, that's what you got there, okay? And then what I want to show you is this is, the principal parts there. Now I want to point out something about this word here in what we call the perfect middle, hagiasomai. Okay, now that perfect middle for hagiasomai is really important to understand, okay, because if we go up here, all right, we see I consecrate myself, I sanctify for myself, okay, but middle can also be translated as passive. And in that sense, I am being consecrated. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to go back here. All right. And let me see. I mean, yeah. And I want to look up the word saved. Okay. So I'm going to type in the word saved. Find it on page, save, because there's so too many just to find. All right. So here you see I have the verb saved right here that I created in this deal. All right. And this will be the aorist. All right. Most aorists will end in an or thane. Okay. And your perfect, middle, and passive tenses will end in my. Most of them. Okay. As you can see right here, end in on my. Okay. Now, so what this tells me is that there are two forms of sesomai in Greek that could be used, and that's why I have this here. So this, the two forms, all right, that could be used, and then in that particular tense. All right. Now, what's important is this: in the Bible, when you see this, okay, it is saying, "I am being saved." We are being saved. Okay, so that's really important to understand. So that's basically, my little introduction, my little stuff that I'm doing. And I pray that you have a good day, be blessed, and thank you for watching this video.